All right, how's it going now on a championship Sunday for the NFL? Another championship Sunday that our Falcons unfortunately are not involved. This is Steve here live with you in the Bird Gang. Just wanted to see some of you guys' thoughts on what today will be. First game, Tampa Bay against Green Bay. Can Aaron Rodgers, who gets his first championship game at home, defend home field and finally get back to the Super Bowl? It's been 10 years for him, too. You know, a lot of people criticize RQB for not being there. Then the game that I'm really interested to see, the Buffalo against Kansas City. That's going to be the game to me. I really look forward to that, to see how Buffalo comes in as far as that is concerned. So this week has been pretty interesting, especially for the Falcons. We went through the two press conferences, and I think I was on for the head coach press conference, but I was not there for the general manager. I did not come on live for that. But I want to hear your thoughts on how you guys think that went. In my opinion, I think it was very good. I think Terry Fontenot seems like he's somebody that looks like at least he has an idea of what he wants to do. So, look, for a franchise that seems like it hasn't had I don't want to say a clear direction, but it has failed to make the playoffs for 3 straight years with a roster arguably that should be able to do better than 7-9, 7-9, and 4-12. I would think that somebody needs to come in here at least with an idea and a plan on what's coming next. What do we want to do as far as the future is concerned? What's going on, Rusty? How you doing, bro? First, Super Bowl will be Packers and Chiefs. Would like to see Buffalo win it all, though. And I'm gonna tell you, I am kind of in that same mindset. I really like Buffalo. I love Josh Allen. I don't know why. He has just kind of he has been somebody that I am really rooting for. And I think Buffalo's going to give him a game. Now, I know it sounds like Patrick Mahomes is going to be ready. So if he's ready, that makes a big difference from having Chad Henne in there, obviously. Then, of course, there'll be a little bit of Willis Reed where you coming off the injured list or whatever to come into the game and see if that's a rallying cry for the Chiefs fans. Maybe so. But it will be interesting to see how that one plays out. Let's say, love the hires. Arthur preached accountability. For Fontenot seems really intelligent. What caught my ears when Arthur said, we will not be afraid to draft any position. Well, I think when you're in a franchise right now, Rusty, where most of your draft picks have gone by the wayside and you haven't been able to hit on a lot of your draft picks in the past, I think you can't sit here and poo-poo any pick or poo-poo any. If they come out, listen, and I know I've been selling the quarterback deal, and I am not standing. I'm not going backwards with that. I do think the Falcons still need to find their future at quarterback. But if they have a plan and they come out and say, you know what, fans, we're getting ready to bring Perry Sewell in here, or we getting ready to bring Patrick Surtain in here. I think that's a reach at number 4, to be honest with you. But I'm just putting out names and putting out positions. If they have a plan, hey, we're trading back because in our mind, we think we may be able to get Trey Lance in the middle of the draft, as opposed to jumping up here to get Justin Fields or jumping up here to get um, Zach Wilson or whomever. They sound like they have, at least behind the scenes, talked about what they're going to do. Now, what'll be the fly on the wall conversation will be, wow, I wonder what Matt is thinking. I wonder what conversations they had with him. And they've had to. They've had to sit there in the back room and talk to Matt and say, brutally honest with you, Matt probably, hey, do I have a job this year? And I'm pretty sure they say, hey, let's see what happens. As we heard the news late last night about Matthew Stafford, it's almost a perfect example where Detroit is saying, hey, thank you for what you've done, but we've seen enough. New coach, which we'll talk about Dan Campbell, I'm sure, later, but new coach and time to, switch it up a little bit. And Detroit is going in that direction and fielding calls for Matt Stafford. Now, I think Matt Stafford may be in a better situation to work his salary. So that might be a different story from Matt. Matt has a lot of, and it's not the money that the other team will pay. It's the money that the Falcons still have to account for on the books. That's the part that kills us going forward. What's going on, Epic? How you doing, sir? Thank you very much. I appreciate the compliments. Feel free to check me out. I'm on YouTube too right now, live. So feel free to subscribe on there, and we're going to have a lot of things in different sports later on during the year to talk about. Right now, we're discussing championship weekend. Also, and I was in the middle of a debate earlier today as well about Phillip Rivers. Now, I know when people announce their retirement and announce, people wax nostalgic. And if the person was a character and things like that, people kind of tend to overblow what they are. Phillip Rivers, to me, lands in that category. Phillip Rivers has been in the league for 17 years. And for 17 years, he's been a solid quarterback. He's not in the Brady, Aaron Rodgers, any of the Mannings when they were here. He's not in that category at all. His biggest claim to fame is he played on a torn ACL in a championship game and lost. He hasn't been an MVP. He hasn't been to a Super Bowl. But yet, if you talk to a lot of pundits and you listen to them and they're saying, well, he's just that football player. He talks junk on the field and he does all of that. And I'm saying to myself, does that really check the box for a gold jacket? Because he can tell a joke or two, or he can rib other guys on the field. It makes no sense. So I'm listening to the argument about it. And that's something I'm really, you guys gonna have to help me with that argument. I was talking back and forth. I think one of the Bird Game members, I think it was John Ivy, where he was, of course, as a good 20 to 30% of folks in this group, which is interesting, dog out Matt and putting up the trolling things, 28-3, ha ha ha, and all the failing losses this year. I get that. But at the same time, when you start talking about Phillip Rivers and the love he's gotten over the last couple of days because of his retirement, is he truly a Hall of Fame quarterback? 17 years? Yeah, that's if you talk about longevity, from a longevity standpoint, that's great. But what has Phillip Rivers done? And I'll pull it up in a second. Epic say, what are your picks for today's championship game? Today, Epic, I look for, and if you look at Rusty's comment, I'm kind of in Rusty. I almost mirror his exact comment. I'm thinking it's going to be Green Bay and the Chiefs. I am a Buffalo fan, but if Patrick Mahomes comes on the field, I think I have to go with Kansas City by a nose, just to for the record. What's going on, Orion? He said he clearly stated in the press conference they will draft the best player on the board. And if Trey Lance is available when we get that pick, that's who we will get, because the last few years we drafted the position we needed, and they sadly have been bust Stack and Beasley. Listen, when you start, and I want everybody to don't put the Falcon curse on everything right now. Your statement is correct, Orion. But I'm saying, let's not talk about the past drafts, because the people who are making the past drafts are gone. Starting 2021, every player that comes, it comes under the Fontenot Smith team. All the days of Beasley, McKinley, and Peter Kahns, and Pierre Jerry, and just folks like that along the line, that stuff is gone now. Thomas Dimitroff is out of here. He's not making the picks anymore. So now you're judged on what's coming in. Now, I know they say they're going to get the best player on the board. A lot of people are putting the young guy from Oregon as one of the highest rated folks on the board. Do you get him? I'm not defending Jake Matthews on an overall scale since he's been here. He gets a C+. You got to say C+, because he's been there for the most part. He had one or two decent years. And actually this year he didn't have a bad year. Didn't hear his name a whole lot. Do you invest in Sewell and bring him in and bulk up the line? Now, of course, anybody who sees that is going to automatically say, well, if you're getting Sewell, then Matt Ryan's not going anywhere. Not necessarily true. There's still a second round. There's still a chance for you to trade players. There's still an opportunity for you to trade Julio. There's still a trade. There's still a possibility of that. So on January 24th, don't assume that every decision has been made on who we're going to draft. We got a long way to go. And as you see little nuggets being dropped, I know all week the buzz has been for Deshaun Watson and him possibly going. It's probably not going to be here, folks. That's for us to get rid of salary and take in even bigger salary. Just probably doesn't make fiscal sense unless there's some master capologist that Terry Fontenot has brought in here. I just don't see that happening. But I do think these guys are going to work some things. I think the draft picks as they stand, I'm not sure if it's going to be the same by the time we get to draft day. I think we have 6 picks this year. I can't remember which round we don't. I think it's 4th or 6th round. I can't remember. I'll look it up. But don't think that we're going to stand pat. I think these guys have to acquire draft picks this year. And I don't know whether that means the trading of Julio. I don't know whether that means the trading of somebody a surprise. You never know. I don't think there are any untouchables on this team this year. I think there are people that are highly likely to keep their jobs. I think Jarrett. I think obviously AJ Terrell just got here. I saw somebody putting him in a trade. You're not going to trade AJ Terrell at cornerback. You finally got somebody that has potential for the first time in 3 or 4 years. Probably playing some of the best cornerback on this team since 2017. I don't think you get rid of him. I don't think Jared is going anywhere, and I don't think Debo is going anywhere. And Ridley, of course. But you got to start thinking about the future. So I'm pretty sure they're looking. Ridley's going to want a deal here pretty soon. His option year is going to cover him for 2022, but most guys before they go into that 5th year want that long contract done. Do they do it for Ridley? I think you got to think about it. I do. Going back real quick to Matt Stafford, while Matt Stafford will probably easily get moved before Matt Ryan, Matt Stafford's cap hit this year if Detroit were to straight out cut him, is $19 million. The June 1st hit is actually more expensive at 23 million. So you definitely look for them to move him out of there. They will lose a little bit of his salary, but the overall cap hit is $19 million. So it's going to be easier to move a Matthew Stafford than it would to move a Matt Ryan. You could spread that 19 million around. You can defer some of that stuff down the line if you're Detroit. But that's another team we have to look out for draft-wise now. Detroit is probably going to be looking for a quarterback too. Maybe look for them to jump into the fray as far as who they're going to get. I'm going to go back to the Phillip Rivers debate. I really wanted to look at some of his numbers compared to Matt. And let me preface this by saying, because I know somebody's going to come on later on and think I'm playing defend Matt game. For 2021, I'm not playing defend Matt. I think you go get somebody to eventually take over for Matt, somebody that you can train, somebody that you can learn under one of the best professional quarterbacks in the last 10 to 15 years. That you can't argue. You can say what you want to say about arm strength, noodle arm, and all that other hyperbole that a lot of you guys use. But as far as staying out of trouble, being durable, being a leader for your team, you can't really say Matt hasn't been that. So who would you rather have a young quarterback come and learn from? So that number 4 pick to me still belongs to a quarterback, in my opinion. In my opinion. Joey says, I think we'll trade back and try to get more picks. We might. And listen, Joey, as long as there's a clear plan, I don't have a problem with that. I'm not going to be naive enough to stay stuck in the mud and say, if they trade back, that's trade back and get a couple more picks. That's dumb. Why? As much, I think my only argument that I've had, my only counter that I've had with folks who say don't get the quarterback of the future is because you got two things working in play here. You have a brand new regime. You have Terry Fontenot and you have Arthur Smith right now, who are probably just on overload with ideas and opinions on how to do this franchise right now. And with a number 4 pick in the draft, you're sitting in a very good position. Almost the only team that's probably, well, of course, Jacksonville and the Jets are in good position as well. But next to those two, you're sitting in a very good position. And at number 4, if you're able to get a talent that you can see in 2022 and beyond, I'm not talking about this year. This year, you basically just throwing the dice against the wall and see what happens. I don't even have super high expectations for this year, and that shouldn't be what, as a fan, I should have more. But with that number 4 pick, it has to be, if you end up taking it, it has to be somebody that you say is a franchise-changing pick. I think you have a couple of quarterbacks that possibly fall into that category. And so when I hear people say Patrick Surtain at number 4, okay. Perry Sewell at number 4. He's the best offensive line in 20 years. We've heard that every year offensive lineman comes out. It's only been about 2 or 3 recently that I've put my hand on that have been great. That's Taylor Lewan, the guard from the Colts. Name is escaping me now. Hinton and Fisher in Kansas City. Aside of those are the only game-changing guys that I've seen in the last few years that as an offensive lineman had made that much of a difference. So with that number 4 pick, it has to be someone that you can put in front of somebody that you're going to be able to put in front of the program, in front of the program that you get at the stadium and say the future starts now. Matt Ryan is going to start slowly, watch and see this year. Matt Ryan is going to start slowly moving to the background of a lot of things going forward for the Atlanta Falcons. Not because he's not great and not because we don't appreciate his history, because these two guys are trying to win and win. And if you listen to both of them, sustain winning. You cannot sit here and tell me that Matt Ryan is going to be part of the future beyond this year. Maybe possibly next year. But beyond this year, I just don't see it. I think these guys are looking for the end game. Joey says, now I still want us to get Nelson. Thank you, Anthony. I appreciate that. Nelson. I don't know why I say Hinton. I think about the guy who used to be here. Thank you, Anthony. Now I want us to get a quarterback, but that's just something I can think that can happen. No, listen, and I want everybody, I'm going to bring up something else too that I saw in the post this way. Listen, hey, I'm an admin now, so I'm going to speak my mind on some things that I see in some of these posts this week. So I'm gonna stretch my mind a little bit, stretch my abilities a little bit. No wrong answers, Joey. At this point, no wrong answers. That you're starting fresh. There are a lot of ways you can go. These guys might say, bulk up the offensive line, go out in free agency and get a proven center. Maybe if we don't believe in Hennessy quite yet, finally get somebody to sit at that left guard that we can trust, or draft Sewell and move Matthews into the guard. I don't know what they plan. Maybe that's the plan. Maybe their plan is to say, you know what, 2021, crumble it up. We starting from scratch. Try to get rid of some of these big contracts. Try to start with just your draft picks, accumulate as many draft picks as you can and build that way. Build with some of the guys that say, you know what, fellas, nobody else wanted you. We're going to take you, try to coach you up and see what we have. I don't know. And I'm pretty sure Fontenot and Smith are not going to show their hand until later on. But there are no wrong answers right now. So I do want to hear opinions on what you all think about what do we do going forward as far as the Falcons are concerned. But I also ran into this week, and I'm throwing stuff against the wall, folks, because I don't have a whole lot of time, but I definitely wanted to hit some posts that I saw earlier this week. We had a post earlier this week from Derek Harper, and pretty good guy I see on here quite a bit posting. And I was looking at his post, and I'm trying to pull it up as I'm talking, but it spoke about not being able to, I don't want to say not have an opinion, but not being able to discuss or have an opinion if you don't know about football. Not don't know about football, if you haven't played football. And yeah, here we go. I just wanted to make sure I got it correct. Derek Harper, and like I said, I see him post a lot, so he posts some good stuff. So this is not a personal attack. But his post says, man, if you can't identify all the gaps, tell me where to line up a 1 tech, 3 tech, 5 tech, 7 tech, or tell me what the people's responsibility is in cover 3. Don't debate me on football, please. Now, I can appreciate anybody who has more knowledge than I do. Matter of fact, I'm one of those people that I try to grasp a little bit from everyone because I'm not perfect at all. But when you say paraphrasing, because I've played football and because I know football and I know what a one tech, two tech. Listen, when he started saying one tech, two tech, I'm not even gonna lie to you. There was part of me think he was talking about a tennis shoe. So when you start bringing things up there and start telling me things like that, I'm saying, yeah, that's fine, but that doesn't close the debate because you can be wrong. And not only can you be wrong, there are some that would argue when you throw stuff up there, when you throw things up there like that, and it does sound a little arrogant, it does make you want to reply and say, well, my brother, if you all that, you should be on somebody's team. But as I see, you're one of the part of the 30 some thousand people who are in here and giving opinions and whatever. Now, some of y'all have some outrageous opinions, and I'm not trying to say every opinion is exactly uh, makes all the sense in the world. But at the same time, I just want all of you high school coaches and college players and people who have that knowledge. I am happy that you all in the because I do learn. I really do. I look at a lot of the posts and I do learn, but that's not a prerequisite for being in the group. The group is about debate. The group is about healthy debate. The group is about really about. It's supposed to be about us kind of bonding together as fans. But I know we do a lot of attacking in here, which, is not my soapbox today. But I just say when you make statements like that, just be careful because even though you've coached, even though you've played, even though you've done all these things, that doesn't necessarily make you the uh, end all be all. Just because I grab a mic and come on here and talk to y'all every week doesn't make me any more special than you. You all can do the same thing every week. But I do like to hear different people's opinions and comments. But I just say be careful of that. That's really borderline arrogant. And again, I don't want to get that, but you just got to be careful. Anthony says, I honestly feel the draft is situational. Everyone is waiting to see what happens with Houston as far as Watson and the coach they select. Also, now that Matthew Stafford is looking for a new team, it changes some teams' plans as far as the draft is concerned. And that's what I'm saying, Anthony. You're absolutely right. There is so much to be determined going forward in this draft for everybody right now. And I know it's hard because we all want football 24/7, 12 months a year, 365, this year, 366. And we want it. Now, well, last year, 366. I forgot. Leap year was last year. Sorry. But relax. I'm sure these guys have a plan. I'm sure there are contingencies if things don't work out. To your point, Anthony, now that the Matthew Stafford thing is out there, there could be that could be one team that might have been looking at Matt that might have been looking at our Matt and said, oh, now we want Matthew Stafford. And instead of saying, let me take a chance on Matt Ryan, Matt Stafford comes with a more manageable salary. So you're absolutely correct. Polo said there are plenty of coaches who have never played the game and are very knowledgeable about the game. I played ball and I currently coach, but I'll talk down to another individual who may not know the exact technique schemes. You say never talk down. Yeah, and that's the thing, Polo. Look, I have the utmost respect for those who have played the game and done things that I haven't done before. Look, I'm a U.S. Army vet. I've done things that some people have done before, but I'm not going to talk anybody down because they haven't served and all of that stuff. I don't get into all of that. But I will say, when you pull up the coaching resume and the player resume, just make sure you're bringing it in the frame of, yeah, but let me add to that, not to put anybody down. Because when you go to the don't debate me on football, please, it's kind of like, okay, well, then maybe you need to be in the coaches group or something. Because the majority, 98% of the folks in this group probably haven't coached or played. I don't want to say 98, maybe about 90%. So that's all. Brother John Harris, man, you're supposed to be at work, aren't you? That's I don't care what college you went to. Now I'm gonna say it in his voice so I can do an invitation. I don't care what college you went to or what pro team you coached for. Everybody has an opinion, qualified or not. Just let the facts and the data determine just how good your opinion is. I know that was a horrible imitation, so I know I'm gonna hear about that at work. So, but he's absolutely right. It's absolutely right. There are room. Listen, there are gonna be some opinions that are super far in left field, and sometimes some of y'all just might have to have the ability to scroll instead of telling somebody they're stupid or telling somebody they don't make sense and things like that. But I'm willing to listen to everybody. Now, will I give my opinion back sometimes? I will, but I try not to get into, your opinion is no good because you played. I really don't believe in that. Keith says, I honestly think we can trade back into the top 10, pick up extra draft picks this year and next year and address our immediate needs. Keith, I think we can too. And I'm open to it. I think all the fans are going to be open to it. Listen, anything that's different from what's been going on draft day for the last 13 drafts. And I don't want to say every pick, every draft, because that's not true. He brought us Matt Ryan. He brought us Julio Jones. He brought us Calvin Ridley. He brought us it's funny that it stops right there. He brought us Grady Jarrett. So there are a lot of picks that were made in this franchise by Thomas Dimitroff that were good. So we can't poo-poo every single one. Not all the time. Polo, and let's be real, I was an average player at best, but I was coachable and my motor never stopped. Hey, listen, look, bro, I in Fort Lewis in 1988 and 89, I played on my company team, tight end. And I was like the second string tight end. I wasn't in there every game. I mean, and every play. And so that's as far as my playing career goes. I didn't even play in high school. So trust me, I'm not trying to. There is, everybody has a right to an opinion. Everyone does. It shouldn't be just because you have, super experience in that. It's a plus to hear about your experience, but that doesn't negate anybody else's. Hey, Lisa, how are you? Polo said, I respect that, John, and that's how it always should be. Absolutely. Cam, I hope they do something different versus what the other management did. I feel like they never did anything like a splash move or get the fan base excited. We did trade for Julio, and I feel like we did more of those type of moves or deals, we would be in a better position. But I'm happy for the change and excited to see what they will do with the organization. Cam, I think that's the overriding feel. You want to see, it's exciting to see new people to see new folks that will be in the green room, to see new folks at these press conferences, to see I don't have a super overriding feeling about Arthur Smith, and I'm glad I did. This is kind of the way I felt when Mike Smith got hired. When Mike Smith was hired to come into Atlanta, I honestly had no huge expectations. Now looking back, Mike Smith might have been the best head coach in Atlanta Falcons history. And I beg somebody to try to argue with me today about that. looking back. No, he didn't make the Super Bowl. No, he didn't eventually bring the ring home. But looking back, it would have been nice if we could have helped him out that 2014 and 15 year instead of bringing in Ray Edwards and stuff like that. So I think that was a pretty good, looking back, Smith was like a good hire. So I say with Arthur Smith, the expectations, hey, let's see what happens. John said, man, your invitation to me sounded like somebody hitting a bag of cats. Look, I'm going to work on the invitation, man. I apologize. Lisa, drafting for best player instead of need per Arthur Smith. And I hear him, Lisa, but as I was saying probably before you popped in here, I think all things are, what do they usually put on your ticket? Subject to change. I think that's what you say day one. Of course, when you're coming into a franchise brand new, you're going to say, I'm going to get the best player pick. You're going to say that to appease the hungry media and the hungry fans right now who are looking for some distinction between this current regime and last regime. So I think that's the calling card at the minute, best player. If that is true, then we probably will pick Sewell because he's been on a lot of folks as possibly the second best prospect right behind Trevor Lawrence going into this year. And I'm not sure if the Jets are going to do that or not. I don't know what Coach Saylor's going to do up there in New York land, whether they're going to stay with Darnell or whether they go with him. But he's been thought to be. So if he's at number 4, do we get him with the number 4 overall pick? When you have 2 young first-round picks on the right side, Jake Matthews, who you could argue did not have a horrific year. I know people want to say it, but not that bad. Do you invest in that? What's going on, Octavius? Topic for the day, 3 things. Who you got in the championship game? I've already said mine. I say I as much as I have pom-poms for the Buffalo Bills, probably, I think I'm going to go with Kansas City in the AFC. And then the 3:00 game, Green Bay against Tampa Bay. I'm thinking Green Bay is going to sneak by in that one as well. I think they're going to be 2 good games. I don't look at blowouts in either game. I think it's going to be 2. Both games are pretty evenly matched, and I don't look at anyone to be that. And then also the Phillip Rivers versus Matt Ryan debate, and I'm going to get into that after I read a couple of these comments real quick. Cam said, that's a good point. Antone says, we need to draft a quarterback. Matt Ryan got to go. He might have to go. He might not be gone this year, Anton. Don't listen. Get your mind right for it. I'm just telling you. Matt Ryan, there's probably more of a 70% chance Matt Ryan is probably going to be your day 1 starter. Wrap your head around it unless something changed. Polo, to Cam's point, as a franchise, we like to make more splash moves, but with that comes paying more money. Big money, and we haven't done that in the past. That will change in the future, and we're going to see with Terry and Arthur. And that's what I'm saying, Polo. The other regime didn't want to do that. This regime, like I said, there are so many things they can do. Yes, we're showing $25 million over the cap right now, but they haven't put their hands on it. They're going to defer money. They're going to be restructuring their contracts. At the end of the day, we're going to be fine to be able to get a couple of folks. We may not be able to get the $17 million a year defensive end that we got last year. Long story. But we'll be able to make some moves. Keith, to piggyback off Cam, we might want to learn not to keep players past their prime or getting attached to players for anointing them Falcons for life. That's why the Pats have been good and over a decade, not afraid to pull the trigger. One of the things, Keith, in Arthur Blank's press conference that he gave, and I like the fact that he owned up to it, where he said, I'm not going to look through this with rose-colored glasses anymore. I'm bringing these 2 guys in to evaluate and figure out what to do with this team. Of course, I've told everyone this time and time again, if you have a quarterback, wide receiver that have taken you to the promised land, you will have an affection for them. You will throw out terms like Falcon for life. You will try to overpay them to keep them here because they brought you at one time a very high level of success for a year or two. But now he's at a point where he realizes, he said it, he admitted it. If you listen to the press conference, he said, maybe I was kind of over evaluating these guys. So I give him credit to bring somebody in. He's not like an owner down in Texas who feels like he is the end all be all and makes all the moves, and he sees his mediocre franchise stay at the same level for years and years and years and keeps paying these guys for years and years and years. And Dallas hasn't been significant since the 90s. So at least he's learning that for right now. At least he's learning that. Cam, I got the Packers and Bills. Okay, got it. Lisa, Kansas City and the Chiefs for me. No NFC South representation in the Super Bowl. Exactly. We don't need that. Is that then we're going to keep losing? But that not necessarily, Antoine. Not necessarily. No. But listen, if you're thinking, Antoine, for 1 year that the Falcons are going to be absolutely ready for bear this year in 2021, yeah, you might want to close your eyes for the whole year. We got a lot of work to do to get this thing going towards the future. You heard what they said. They're about sustained success. Of course, they're going to try to win in 2021. But what do you want the upcoming head coach and general manager to say their first year in? Well, we're going to try to win it all this year and scrap it for next year. No, they're probably going to say, hey, we're going to try our best to work the roster to where it'll be successful. But our goal is to have this thing branch out into 2025, 26, where we're in competition to be in the Super Bowl. So don't get stuck on the Matt Ryan still being here. Matt Ryan might end up being here for all practical purposes. He might end up, even if you draft the quarterback. But that's not a reason to just kind of call it quits and say, oh, well. No. If you're still a fan, you'll be here. But you might want to close your eyes if you're not feeling that. Timothy, what's going on? Say, hey, Smith has been giving a Super Bowl team ready. Kansas City in Green Bay, Super Bowl, Kansas City repeats. Okay, I got you. Octavius, I got the Chiefs and the Packers for the Super Bowl. All right, sounds good. Arlen, if Fields gone by 4th, then we need to lower back no lower than 11th and draft Trey Lance or Mac Jones than a running back with our next pick. I don't know why, y'all. I'm not as sold on Mac Jones as everybody else. And this is not to say he didn't accomplish a whole lot down in Alabama. Great job this year. Great stats. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. I like Trey Lance. I've told y'all that from late last year. You're not going to hurt my feelings with that fallback, Arlen. That's a good call. Running back. That was Bernard says. I hear you. Polo, Bills and Packers. That's what I bet for. Lisa, we haven't been consistently competitive at all. That has been frustrating. And I think and this is not to poo-poo your point, Antoine. Yeah, another year of Matt Ryan starting is not anything to get exactly happy about. But at the same time, if you're looking at moving forward in the future, you might have to take a L or two. We might have to going into this year. Don't think that we're just giving up by saying, "Oh, Matt Ryan's gonna play." Look, and we got to get over. Well, you don't have to get over. Y'all can hate Matt Ryan till the day is done because I don't. I think his time has gone, but I think this new regime, whether it be first round, second round, trade back, middle of first round, whatever, I have a sneaky suspicion that one way or the other, they're going to get the quarterback of our future this year. I really do. Who wouldn't, as a brand new general manager, head coach, want to start your franchise run with your quarterback in hand. And you cannot sit here and tell me that they have looked at Matt Ryan and extrapolated him out to 4 more years. They're going to draft a quarterback. Trust me. Michael said, man, I'm a Falcon fan for life. Love my birds. And I said, go Pack, go. I was ridiculed to death if I said no Falcon. I support no one from the NFC South, Pack and Chiefs in the Super Bowl. I feel you, brother. Macario, how you doing, man? Bills and Packers. Miles, how you doing, Miles? Good to see you not at work for a change. You about the hardest working man I see out there. I want Trey Lance or Justin Fields. I mirror your thoughts. Ontavious, it's time for us to draft our future quarterback. Matt won't be here forever. We need someone who's going to put fans back in the seats and help the team win. See, any quarterback that we're going to get, Ontavious, I'm sorry, any quarterback that we get is going to bring a level of excitement. Now, the only pressure that will be put on, which is good, is Matt Ryan. Because if Matt Ryan goes out there in the first game of the year and he throws that interception, it's not like going to be like the good old days where he can just run back out there and just take the boos. The fans are going to go out there like, we want Justin. We want Trey. We want Trevor or whoever the quarterback is. We want Zach. That pressure needs to be put on Matt Ryan. And I'm pretty sure the pressure is already on him. I don't think you're going to have to worry about that. That's going to happen. Cam, what do you think we're going to do with Julio? Now that's the one that I'm looking at right now. You'll probably be able to easily move Julio more than you can Matt, not only financially, but I just think from a perception wise. Not to say that Julio wouldn't be still serviceable if he's here, but if somebody is willing, Baltimore, somebody who needs a number one receiver can go out there and get somebody and we can take a pick or two back, why wouldn't you take that chance? I would. I think you do it. I think you do that in a heartbeat. So, yeah, from that standpoint, I'll easily do that. I will absolutely do that. Daniel said they won't draft the quarterback. Oh, they're drafting the quarterback, Daniel. Again, are you basing that on Thomas Dimitroff? Or are you basing that on these two guys that you don't know anything about? Why wouldn't they draft a quarterback? That might be the most blank. Why? Please reply by and say why they wouldn't draft a quarterback. This isn't Thomas Dimitroff. This isn't Dan Quinn. This isn't anybody else. You're judging these guys and they haven't made one pick yet. Why wouldn't they? You think they're coming in right now and they're going to build this whole franchise around 3 or 4 years left with Matt Ryan? That's an interesting thought. Polo, post June 1st designation for Julio, his cap hit is easier to move. Yeah, him. Ryan too, for that matter, but it's still higher. I've been watching that too, Polo. It is. Oh boy, Mr. Hoodhard. Sorry, I couldn't pronounce that first part. I don't get why the conversation is even being had. We all know that they are moving in a direction that includes Matt and Julio. They draft the quarterback late in rounds, but not what everybody wants. But why do you say, why do we know? Do you have some insight from, do you know Mr. Fontenot? Because if you know him, you could share, but you don't know what they're going to do. I don't know what they're going to do. That's not true. You're again, some of y'all judging by the last 13 years. Those guys are gone. Don't judge by what they did in the past. Judge by what's going on now. Y'all miss me with some of that sometimes. Don't judge by what we've done in the past. This is a new franchise. This is a new regime. They're going to do things differently. Cam, exactly. I love Julio, but the past couple of years, he hasn't played enough, especially how much he's getting paid. And like you said, his value is still good. You have to trade him now before later. Remember Andre Johnson for the Texans? Remember they got kind of stuck with him when they signed him to a nice little contract at the end. I keep remembering him, and he was balling. He was Julio balling for a couple of years. And they hung on to him too long. And by the time he could give them nothing, he was hurt. And I think he ended up with the Colts, I think, at the end. And if they don't draft quarterback, they will focus on the trenches where we're weak at. I can believe that. I absolutely believe that. Daniel, he already had plans for Matt. That's why they hired Smith. He didn't say that. He actually didn't say that. I need you to go back and look. He just said that he'll work with Matt. And if anything, you notice they deflected talk about what they would do with Matt and Julio. Think about it. If they were truly 100% committed to Matthew Ryan and Julio Jones, they would come out both of them on day one and said, well, I want to make it clear. Matt Ryan is my quarterback. Julio Jones is my wide receiver. That is what you call endorsement. Neither Matt nor Julio got any, matter of fact, no player got any endorsement from them that they're going to move on. Dan Quinn, when he came into this franchise, he had to commit to Matt Ryan because arguably Matt Ryan was right in the middle of his prime, and he had to come out and say, I have Matt Ryan on this franchise. We have to commit to him. You did not hear that from Terry Fontenot. And brother, if you did, please paste it on here that where it said he's going to absolutely hitch his wagon to Matt Ryan for the rest of his career. Come on now. I need you to be better than that. I need you to be better than that. He did not say that. That's not what he said. He did not say he had total plans for Matt Ryan. He did not. He said we're going to evaluate everyone. Him and Terry were on the same page with that. True, it goes both ways, but I'm definitely not judging off the past. Yeah, I hear you. That's what I'm saying. We can't do that. That chose Arthur as head coach because he's an offensive-minded coach. They are trying to get a ring in the next 2 years. And this is not to say that they're going to make the most of Matt this year. But you can still plan for the future now, even with Matt staying here one more year. Did y'all see Kansas City a couple of years ago? Alex Smith took them to a division title, took them to the playoffs. I'm trying to think, was it a division title or a wild card? I think it was a division title. To a division title. In the next year, Patrick Mahomes was the number one quarterback. It can be done. It has been done. Don't think you can't. Brick, Fields at 4, cornerback to pair with Terrell at second pick. I wouldn't mind that. Benjamin, is there any quarterback in the draft has a higher ceiling than Trey Lance? See, Benjamin, I was trying to sell that Kool-Aid to folks early in the year. I still think that. I really do. Mr. Hoodhard say, I agree with you, though. We really got to sit and because it can go a lot of ways. It can. And again, we're talking January 24th, y'all. We got 3 months before April. There are a lot of moves. There are a lot of cuts. There are a lot of things. You're going to probably see when you start seeing these cuts being made to get underneath the $25 million, we'll be able to have a better conversation about this later on. Macario, how do you feel about the replacements we are bringing in potential draft we can grab? I'm gonna. I was talking to Quentin, my brother Quentin Holt. We're gonna try to hopefully get together and do some draft stuff as far as the team is concerned, so we can kind of evaluate this thing, because we got a lot of evaluating to do as far as players to bring in here. So I'm telling you, we got a long way to go, folks. Vet, great point. It's about to be a new day in the bird nest. They will pick a quarterback, born and raised fan, 120 East to the north side. Falcons about to get a mobile game plan. Listen, I would be absolutely down with that if that's the case. But I also say, don't sleep on Zach Wilson. I really like him. He's somebody that is not going to hurt my feelings if you get, and it's definitely not going to hurt my feeling if Trey Lance is almost the perfect example that one. He's probably not day one ready to start for an NFL team, but I think if we get him in here and Arthur Smith gets with him and say, look, okay, learn how to be a pro with this guy, but then I'm going to teach you the mechanics and I'm going to teach you how to run this particular scheme for me. So 2022 going forward, we're going to be ready. Daniel, a running back will be drafted in defensive backs and O-linemen. Bernard, draft a quarterback, second string quarterback would be Cam Newton. I wouldn't let Cam Newton come close to my organization. I apologize, dude. I can't have him near a young guy. I cannot have Cam Newton near a young guy. Not at all. Not at all. Can't do it. Can't do it. And that's not personal. Cam Newton still has some skills. He still can be a great 4th and 1 option and all of that stuff. I can't have Cam's attitude around my young quarterback. I can't. Cam Newton is a great talent, one of the greatest talents athletically to play. Skill-wise, he suffers. Attitude-wise, he really suffers. Can't do it. Daniel, trust me, I want them to do away with Matt, but I know they are not. And listen, it's not that your thought isn't being listened to, Daniel. I'm not trying to say that you know. I just say I think we still are going to draft a quarterback, but just don't lose your mind if Matt is under center game one. That doesn't necessarily mean he's the absolute future. Eric, you wasted your time and breath trying to explain to these half fans. That's why I'm not. I hear you, Eric. And it's not about that. Listen, everybody right now they're skeptical, they're excited, we're wondering what's going to go on with this future. And you're going to get folks that are going to be nervous, and we're going to say some things out the top of our head that don't make sense. I know I'm going to say some things that's not going to make sense, but everybody's just excited, Eric. So I don't want to get into the half fan thing and stuff like that. I just think people are going to have a lot of opinions about what to do with this franchise. And until we get the actual blueprint, which we won't know until with the number 4 pick, the Atlanta Falcons select, until we get to that point, everyone has an opinion. I got to go get this chicken. I'm going to run through these. I got chicken wings and pizza coming. So I'll virtually share with y'all. David, back to your Matt Jones point. The people who get paid are the ones saying he's a first-round pick. I'm not sold on that. Let's not get too enamored with Fields here. Yes, Watson and the Jets are preferred. His deferred destination, but those kind of blockbuster trades constantly hit stumbling blocks. Wilson at 4 has always been my preference, but I'm not upset if they trade back and get 7 to 8. I agree with you, brother. That wouldn't be bad. I like Wilson. I like Wilson as well. John says every team is going to run into the same problem we have with our superstars. You're going to have to pay to play, and it's going to be a risk to trust that they can perform their contract. Ryan, I told everybody the signs of him not being ready for prime time. They were showing, but no, you did tell us the last 2 years. I'll give you that credit. That credit. Jay Fly, Trey Lance. I hear you. I do love the fact that we're clear on the old staff. That's the best step in a better direction. And I think we get used to saying, oh, the same old Falcons. We got to stop that. I can understand last year. I can understand the year before. This is not going to be the same Falcons. Whether you have similar results or not has yet to be seen. But this is not the same Falcons. Did you see the guy who's running the show now? He doesn't look like Thomas Dimitrov. He doesn't talk like Thomas Dimitrov. Do you see the guy who's the head coach now? He's not talking like Dan Quinn. He's not acting like Dan Quinn. He's like broing it up and embracing the suck and all that stuff. In brotherhood, he's not doing all that. He's coming in and saying, we got some work to do. So we have to give these guys an opportunity to do their thing. Jay Fly said, Matt had a lot of chances. Absolutely he did. That's why you have to think about the future. Dominique, I like it. I put it like this. Plan now while you got the top pick in the draft, because we probably won't get this high of a pick again no time soon. Ding, ding. I've been trying to impress that upon folks, Dominique. That's very good. Very good point. You don't get the fourth pick. Most of the time, the Falcons, much to a lot of people's loss of memory, we're mediocre. We're usually between the 12th pick and the 18th pick, which is somewhere between 7 and 9, 6 and 10, 8 and 8. That's pretty much been our mantra aside of the first 5 years that Matt Ryan came into play. That's usually been us. All at the end of the day, at the end of the last few seasons, I was left feeling pissed off, but every year around this time, I get back excited and I like the direction we're going. Let's go, Dave. If we're 8-8 next season, that's a win for us. And again, Arlen, that's I'm not telling you to accept losing. I don't accept losing. I will never. We were 4-12. I didn't accept one loss we have. I'm not accepting it. But what I'm saying is, it's a good chance that we might suffer a little bit. But to your point, 8-8, that's better than 4-12. So anywhere we can go up, I'm going to be up for that. Hoodhar said Cam is toxic. And that's again, and I want to say, make sure that people say, I'm not saying against him personally as a person. I'm saying as a football player, I don't want that behind my rookie quarterback. I don't want that attitude behind my rookie quarterback. I don't mind you having bravado. I don't mind you showing off a little bit, but I need you to first come in and learn how to be a professional NFL quarterback. Cam came in Superman and first down and stuff like. He only had 1 year that you can say that he was on top of the world. And that was the MVP year, and I give him credit on that. But other than that, he's kind of been overrated. Now, I argue with anybody to tell me that. Anybody. What they going to do with Ollison? I think with Ollison, there's a job at Walmart that he might be able to be one of those people that welcome you in. Listen, I'm kind of being funny, but I'm not kind of being funny. Maybe they're able to do something redeemable with them, but it's my thought, man. These folks coming in, they might not even have picked some of these guys that are on the team right now. So as far as Ollison's concerned, I'm sure they'll be able to get a 2021 version of Ollison that might be a little more talented and that you would use actually in your offense. If you're going to draft a player, you better be playing special teams. You better be doing something. I've never seen a team draft so many people and have 3 or 4 of the drafts on inactive list every week. If I'm drafting somebody, I need them on the active roster contributing, whether it be running out the punt, tackling on a kickoff, being able to step in. I got to have that. Cam, last couple of years have been disappointed. However, how they ended the season. We could have possibly had Nick Bosa and or Chase Young. They finished the season strong on both of those seasons just to start the next season. Not good at all. That did come back to haunt us. You're absolutely right. We could have been in that 4th or 5th position then. But Cam's character is more important than his play on the field. I've got to have it. I've got to have somebody, if I'm going to bring a young guy in, I've got to have somebody that he can learn from. And listen, I'm not expecting him to be, I'm not telling him to bring him in to go to church every week and telling him to go, don't swear and don't do it. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that front runners, I can't stand them. The Cam Jordans of New Orleans, talking all the junk in the world when New Orleans winning 4 straight NFC South, but then you don't hear from them at all when they lose 4 out of the 5 years. NFC South pennant doesn't mean anything, except it doesn't mean anything to me. But Cam Jordan is one of those guys. He's a front runner. Cam Newton, when things are going well and you winning, he all over the place. But then when he losing, yeah, oh no, stop, leave me alone. Ain't got time for all that. You make too much money to be doing that. And New England probably found out a little bit about itself too. Listen, if he showed anything in New England this year, if he showed anything, he showed that his day might be over with. His days might be done. Backup, maybe. Not here though. Not here. All right, Dominique, I watch a lot of college ball, so I strongly believe this is Atlanta's year to get a quarterback. As far as next year, I don't see anything better than this year's class since teams are starting fresh on the collegiate level. And especially, let's not discount this COVID thing too. The evaluation of these players coming after this year is going to be murky at best. It's not saying you might not have a good quarterback or two coming out in 2022's draft, but your last bit of actual film and everything on players right now, and that's not even including people who had opted out this year. So this is your last year where you're going to have really good information on folks for 2022. It's going to be it's going to be an interesting draft in 2022. I tell you that. Listen, folks, my son is sitting over here saying, Dad, let's go get this pizza. Let's go get these wings. I am getting ready to go. Championship game. I say Green Bay, Kansas City. That's what I'm picking. Y'all enjoy the game. Everybody chime in on Atlanta Bird game. I'm sure everybody will be watching the game. Y'all take care. Have a great Sunday. Thank y'all for joining me. Don't forget to subscribe to Steve Sports Talk and More on YouTube. We're going to be talking more, not only football, but basketball going into the season. Thank y'all for joining me. We'll see y'all later on. Peace.